So now, and then go into Instagram and wait.
It's still not letting me click that go live thing.
Oh no, I think you have to wait for a bit, unless
Oh,
because it's the right link. But all right, cover studio channels.
oh,
Okay,
there it goes. Okay, now
there
it's
we go.
working.
Perfect. Told you.
Yay!
There's a little bit of a patience thing going on. All right. Let's fire away.
All right. So today on our live video, we are discussing some tips to help busy moms stay active. And we have Jared with me.
Yes, Jared Broughton. Let's be specific. And I'm a professional running coach. I help people between 30 and 55 prevent injury from running related injuries, to be specific here, running related injuries, or come back from running due to injury in about 2 months or so. Because I find that the most common problem, other than trying to run fast or for performance or ambitiousness, is the bleeding neck problem. The common frustration based on market research is injuries. I'm tired of seeing people get injured, and that's the reason they're not happy with running or they'll give up. And something fascinating about me is I've done 7 marathons and I'm visually impaired.
You've done 7 marathons.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing, Jared.
Yeah.
So how were you able to accomplish that?
A lot of perseverance. Once I realized that, because I had a very influential coach growing up, he said, "You have talent, Jared, don't waste it," because I couldn't play conventional sports. Because I can't play tennis, I can't play badminton, I can't play baseball, the sports that I would have loved to play.
Okay.
I had to find something that I could fit in high school, because I love girls. Love them. I would do anything to impress girls. And this goes out to you lovely mothers out there. Put yourself in my shoes as a guy in high school, or even before that. I still love girls. I guess I hit puberty early. I wanted to impress girls so bad. And I thought, well, everyone said, well, you don't want to be chubby. Girls don't find that attractive. And so I had to find something to keep me active. And I kept getting nagged and nagged and nagged. But then that one influential person, when I went to a boarding school, he said, "You have talent, don't waste it." He basically changed my life and my mindset on that. Because he said, it was like, damn, I want to be him one day without having to go to teacher school. I wanted to be like him in some way that didn't require me to go to teacher school and be a teacher and all that.
Right.
And that's where this comes in. But before that, I think it was just that I wanted to make him proud. I wanted to impress girls. I wanted to make my parents proud. I think it was just stemmed from, like, yeah, there's some kind of validation going on, but I think there was something so refreshing that when I finished a run, it was like I felt like I could conquer the world. The runner side we can talk about later, but it's something so simplistic about it that I'm better at than the average person. So when I started doing races, I started noticing that, hey, I'm not in last place. I'm not actually bad at this.
Awesome.
And so I just kept that going, that momentum.
Yeah.
Made some mistakes, got injured, met some influential coaches along the way, joined some clubs, running groups, talked about networks. And what got me to the marathon, to your question, is just that, well, I was part of I'm not sure if you've ever heard of the Running Room, but I was there, and it was part of their running clinics. I was just kind of running with them. And my friend goes, "Have you done a marathon yet? You've done a half. Oh, cool. Have you done a marathon yet? When are you going to do a marathon?" And so it was this indirect pressure. It was like, yeah, I mean, I guess I could. That would really give me bragging rights, because I've never had a reason to brag about anything and be proud about it other than graduating high school. So like graduating high school is like, yeah, I graduated high school in a regular school. Great. But there was something prestigious about completing my very first marathon at the age of 20. It's like, wow, I feel like if I could do a marathon, I could do anything as someone that's visually impaired. And then ever since then, I just got better and better and better. And obviously, like, there's been ebbs and flow. And then a friend of mine recently said, well, like about a year ago when I started this, said, you'd be a very good running coach. Have you considered it? And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I've received some business coaching along the side to kind of figure out what gets people ticking, what people need. And I just find the sport very, very empowering for most people. What's funny, and this is your audience is going to love this. Did you know that women weren't even able to legally run a marathon until 1980s or so?
1980s. Wow, I didn't know that.
Because, get this, medical experts, not us, not our generic population, said medical experts back in the day, about let's say 7 years ago, said if a woman were to do a marathon, their uterus would fall out. No, I'm no word of a lie.
Okay, this is the first I'm hearing of this, Jared.
Oh no, it's true. See, here's the thing: if that were true, we wouldn't have survived as a species. We needed
women exactly,
because
sure women have been running for years for different various things,
exactly
running after their children, and
and what happens is we needed to run as a pack, because this is where the origin starts. In the only way we survived after we created weapons. Before weapons were invented, were invented, like spears, arrows, rocks. We were able to kind of harness different weapons to kill our prey for food, to survive, because that's our humanistic instinct. Right. So once we realized, okay, well, 2 million years ago, we didn't have this, and then so how are we killing these animals 2 million years ago when the first weapons were only invented on only 1500 years ago? So how are we killing these animals? We had to run.
Yeah, had to run.
So think about it. If women couldn't run a marathon or longer, then how are we even alive today?
Right.
And so it was an idea that the only way we could do that is by working as a team. So like we had to push people along, and it's just the incredible nature of people like, oh no, you shouldn't run when you're pregnant. I'm like, no, we were designed to do it. It's just, obviously we didn't have, obviously women didn't run for performance back then. No one cared about that. It wasn't a thing. It was more about how to survive. How can I feed my young? Right. How can we run as a pack? And so it's just the idea that technically we've been born to do this. So I find it's ridiculous that even after 2 million years, medical experts only 70 years ago thought, well, no, that's not healthy. That's not healthy to do a marathon. Your uterus could fall out.
Yeah.
Absolutely nonsense. It's absolutely ridiculous. And now the world record is women are getting closer and closer to the men's world record. And you guys have only been doing this for the past 45 years.
We have some superpowers sometimes.
Yeah. The fact that you could go from never doing it to learning how to train for this big event to coming only within 12 minutes from the world record of the men's world record.
Yeah.
And I think there's something you said there is that we were designed to do this if we just train properly.
Right.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about coaching, which goes down another rabbit hole. So what's your thoughts on all that? I've said a lot.
No, that's it. That's interesting. I didn't know that about the women, that they just started running marathons. So I thought they've been running for longer. So.
No. Well, I mean, they have, but unofficially behind the scenes, because if someone were to find out, they're like, well, they weren't allowed to compete. For all no, women have been doing this for like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
To hunt. But in terms of performance, never heard of until 50 years ago, until the first woman tried to do it, sneaked in and did a marathon in 1960s.
Gotcha.
And then it wasn't official until 1984. 1984 was the very first women Olympics. Women's Olympic marathon.
Olympic marathon, okay.
Yeah. But they were allowed to do it before, but it was the very first Olympic year that they were able to do it. So that's what made it prestigious, was that one marathon, because it's the Olympics, the highest level of athleticness. And so that became the cornerstone for, okay, the record started here, but technically they started way before that. And so it's just kind of like a mystery. Like we don't know. We don't have any record of it, because doctors would advise otherwise. So women would be like, no, I refuse for this. And all the women rights and all that. So women would want to do it, but they couldn't compete in it. because there was no registration for it back in I didn't even know how people registered for races back then before computers.
Yeah.
To do it in person. But because women weren't allowed, I think they were allowed to do half marathons, but the half marathon is not a well-known distance. I think the 5K, 10K, women have been doing that for a while, but the marathon was just something special about it. It was like, well, because Philippides died when he arrived at Athens. And he died, he collapsed. And that's what made it so famous of a distance, is that people thought, oh, you can't run longer than a marathon.
Yeah.
And then it came out about how, I don't even know where the uterus story came from. Like, I don't even, the medical experts, like physicians, don't even have anything to back up their claims.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were just worried of being sued. I don't know. It's a controversy.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, I don't want to start guessing here. But because there's no thing to back it up, all we know is this is what doctors would advise.
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't want to do a marathon. Something's bad's going to happen to you.
Right.
And it's like, oh no, you're not designed to do that. You're designed to give birth. And I think there was something about this because this was also during the baby boom.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh no, we got to populate the planet, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but that's my theory though. I could be so off, but it's something that I like to talk about out loud sometimes, you know, like maybe get the juices flowing.
Oh yeah, it's fun to talk about that kind of stuff.
Oh yes, it is. So I'd be very interested to know what your thoughts on how women have been able to evolve in terms of, you know, getting into the workplace more, and now they're too busy, and now there's like, well, I don't have time to exercise because I have to take care of my kids.
Right.
And it's like, why can't women put themselves first? Which probably goes down another rabbit hole, but I just feel that's so sad. Like women are giving up their health almost, it's probably an exaggeration, just because of something they have no actual control over. The only thing you have control over is your how you react to something and your physical exertion.
Right.
Like you can control that. What you eat, when you go to sleep, you have full control over that in your health. Exercise. But for so long, it's like, well, women have been stuck at home and taking care of kids. And it's like, no. If you take care of kids, you're selfish. And I've been and now because of that pressure, it's like, well, I don't have time for myself. So I think that's what it stems from. So I really want you to give me something here.
Okay.
Fascinated.
Yeah, I mean, for whenever I had my kids as an example, I wanted to be a mom. But I wasn't willing to, you know, sacrifice my health and fitness in the meantime. So it's always been something that I long to do, is be a good mom and take care of my health. So it's just simple. You have to discipline and prioritize it in your life. I mean, back when I was working in the corporate world, when I was doing engineering, that kind of thing. So I'm going to kind of talk about that time because that probably relates more to the general population, the women working 8 to 5 or 8 or 9 to 5 kind of thing. So
that's right. Yeah.
I'll kind of put myself back in that time and talk about how I was able to do it and make sure I was staying active the whole time.
Yeah, no, that's very good. That's empowering because a lot of mothers say, well, I don't have the time. So like I had this discovery call with a woman who has 2 kids, and she can only exercise when they're either in bed or I don't know, like distracted or with her dad, right? If there was or no activities, if there was nothing else, if 3 of those things weren't happening, she felt obliged to be present. Like, okay, how much time? So one of my questions was, so how much time do you have to run? Well, I only have time in the evenings, and then it's my time. And I found that so refreshing to hear that. But not everyone sees it that way.
Yeah.
Because like, oh my God, well, I'm going to be shunned by society if I make time for myself. Kids come first. But I'd love to know what your philosophy is. Like now it's becoming more aware with our current society, and you know how we have the FDA doesn't really care about us all food, and you can talk about that. You know more about it than I do. Is the whole new expression well, I found it only common in the last 25 years is you can't take care of someone if you can't take care of yourself, like being a good advocate. Even if like you could, if you're just talking the talk,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to take you seriously. But I think I heard someone, I don't know who said it. Someone said there's something to be said where if your kids see you doing things,
Right.
they mimic that because they see it as not just inspiration, but just like they see your habits. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
they want to mimic you as they get older. So if you're
Yeah,
not
for
doing
sure.
it, oh, well, I just wanted to take care of them. I need to make sure they're distracted. Can't they distract themselves? But again, I have limits to what I can explain because or relate because I don't have kids yet. And so
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know your view, and not just because a mother, but as a parent in general,
Mm-hmm.
how you navigate that when your kids were very young. How could
Right.
you excuse yourself and be active because you knew what was that shift when it first started?
Yeah. So, back in that day, I was 2008 was when I had my son, and I think the doctors were still recommending that you rest for kind of six weeks, kind of thing, depending on your labor and everything. So, I as someone that's always been active, I definitely wanted to get back to it. And you know what I did? Just kind of what you said. My son was there with me. I would just work out. I actually had a lot of time in the stroller. I would almost walk to the grocery store daily just for some activity.
That works.
Might even jog. And, you can do a lot with the stroller. You can do lunges. You can,
Yeah.
park it at the park, do some push-ups on the bench. You can do Bulgarian split squats where you put your back leg up on the bench. There's lots you can do just with a stroller. So I would say for my son, I did that a lot. And I was getting into nutrition at that time as well. I think when I really started, I used to be on the road a lot. So I don't know, I would eat like just on the road kind of food, whatever was quick, maybe grab a can of tuna or whatever. I think I ate that a lot. I probably had mercury poisoning from all the cans of tuna I ate. But anyway, so I was starting to learn more about nutrition at that time. And I had always had a lot of colds in the winter.
Okay.
And I discovered that I was not really good with conventional dairy.
Mhm.
I've kind of worked through that now. I can have goat and sheep dairy or A2 milk. So that was something that I was trying to play around with because I didn't want to be sick all winter anymore. So just taking out the inflammatory foods. And then I eventually went to the naturopath. And from there, I just started learning a lot about what my body liked, what it didn't like, and healing my gut. And we can talk about nutrition on another day. But I think with my son, just there was a lot of times where he was there with me. I would go to the park. I would do park workouts when he was older. He would just run around the park, and I would do. The park is an amazing place to do a workout. You can use the bars to do a modified pull-up. You can do, hangs. You can do push-ups off the slides and park benches.
Yep.
And you can do always squats, lunges, those kinds of things are really easy to do at the park. So, and I used to bring my bands too and just work some of my my shoulders and my upper back with the bands. So things like face pulls where you pull right into your face, just all kinds of those kinds of things were so good to do at the park. So I would say I did that a lot with my son. And then my daughter came along in 2011, so two and a half years later. And then we had actually moved when I was pregnant with my daughter. So we moved just a little bit outside of Waterdown into Flamborough.
Okay.
And I had a neighbor, and she always did workout videos. And I wasn't really ever doing those, but you know what? We started doing those together. So we would do the programs like on Beachbody. It's Body now, but we would do Beast, and we would do sometimes we do some cardio workouts, but we did all kinds of a lot of weights. So I got big into strength training then, and still today that's my thing. But the kids would be crawling over me sometimes, and my friend would always say like, what I used to do is give my kids a snack when I work out. So I was like, okay. So I kind of took her advice and Sometimes they would have a little snack, but they were good. I don't know. They didn't really bother me that much that I hear. I guess maybe because my kids kind of grew up with me moving at the park. They're just like, oh, that's what mom does.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Well, I've also seen this funny thing on it. I don't even scroll, but I saw someone shared this with me. It was so funny. It was how to use your kids as weight.
Yeah.
Like, so, okay, so let's say your kid's 3 years old. Then you're just like, okay, 1, 2. All right, you ready? And they're getting a kick out of it too.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know what I
yeah.
mean? We're like squats. You're holding them. Okay, so as you get heavier, they're getting older.
Exactly.
You can start squatting with your kid. Okay, you're going to go on my shoulders now. Okay, ready? These are squats now. Like
Why
there's so
not?
many
It's a
cool
good
ways.
25 to 30 pound weight, right?
Yes. Oh, screw the gym. Just use your kid. I thought that was hilarious. I was like,
Yeah.
that's ingenuity right there.
Yeah, it's cute.
Well, I mean, I've seen these funny things on Instagram about that, or just a friend of mine or someone in my network would send me something and just because I don't scroll, I like people when they share stuff with me or refer me. So he shared that to me as like a running coach, and he thought this would be funny. I'm like, I never thought of that. This is how you incorporate strength training in your running and all this stuff. Now you have no excuses if you're a parent.
Jared, you're ready. When you have kids, you'll know what to do.
Well, that's the thing is like, there's no perfect time to really start anything. So something my dad said, I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but there was one thing he was right about. There's no perfect time to get married. There's no perfect time to have kids. That was the big one.
Yeah.
There's no perfect time to have kids. And maybe you can speak on that a little bit, but it's like, if you're waiting for the perfect time to start your side project, your favorite hobby, to make more time for it, there's never going to be a perfect time. It's like now, because I know a lot of people use this expression on me all the time. Well, you get hit by a car tomorrow, but why live in that kind of anxiety?
Yeah.
Like you don't always want to live like tomorrow's the last day, because then we would splurge financially, because then people use that as an excuse to splurge on their finances. And then they complain they don't have any money.
Right.
So that there's a little bit of a fine balance there. It's just like fitness, right? It has to be sustainable. I don't find it overly impressive, to be honest. When someone says, well, I made time for it. How many times did you do it? Once per week. Like, okay, that's great. But it's almost like very polite enthusiasm, as it were. It's more about consistency. I mean, and you could apply that to almost everything: nutrition, weights, running, obviously. Almost anything requires consistency to get better.
Right.
And if you're not making time for it because you think, oh, it's not the right time. Like, well, it's not even a sales tactic. It's literally the facts. Someone, have you ever been sold by someone and said, are you going to live in this situation forever because it's just not the right time? It's like, well, it's not the right time for me. And then the person will go, or the coach or salesperson will go, yeah, but even if you took away a promotion aspect to it, it was the idea that you may never have this chance again. And I know that's a little bit of scarcity involved. It's a good analogy for there's no perfect time to start anything, really.
Right.
Sometimes you have to, like, I'm learning how to be more intuitive.
Awesome.
Like it's just so hard because it's like, because I've spent so many years trying to impress especially girls, impress other people or make them proud, or my coach, that it's almost like I've lost the ability to be more in tuned. Just intuition, right? Intuition, like a little play on words there, but it's a journey for sure. And I think there's definitely some, it's too cliche. It's like, oh, well, we just got to grow and get outside our comfort zone. It's too cliche to say that. I think there has to be more actionable steps to take. Okay, if you do X, Y, and Z starting this week, I notice you will make progress. Like, for example, I would say for women that are running, mothers, especially, here's their tip. Here's your first step. Lay out your clothes at the front, or like right beside your bed, your bed. You see your you wake up, you see your clothes and your watch. No excuses. You can't forget it. You don't have to go in your drawer. You don't have to go in your closet. You don't have to look for anything. It's right there. Second point. So you save time right there. Second point. have your running shoes and your gear near the front door. If
Mhm.
you have food, have it nearby. If it doesn't need to be refrigerated, even better, have it near your shoes. And then,
Awesome.
lastly, make sure that you have everything set up on your watch. You're not, playing along with your music
Yeah.
or your workout, and do it ahead of time. Do it when you
Right.
have a spare minute. There's no reason you can't find time for that. So
Yeah.
those are like my top 3 bite-sized actionable steps you can take to make time for more running,
Awesome.
so that you can't say, well, yeah, I can't take care of myself because my kids need attention and they have all this activity going on. Yeah, I mean, sure, I guess if you have an infant, they need attention, but you're not going to be with them all the time. You have nannies, there's daycare you could run at lunch. There's
Yeah, the lunch is key,
there's
was key for me in the corporate, when I was in the corporate world. We
mm,
actually had a gym where I was working,
yep,
and that was like my
your
time was lunch. I was like, why not? The gym is here. They
of
had
course.
classes, so I would do that. So that's a huge huge thing to try out for moms if you're working corporate, like kind of a 8 to 5, is try lunch workouts. Find a friend, go find a gym nearby. Yeah, just find if you can do something on your lunch. And if lunch doesn't work, then early mornings are also another favorite of most people that work out. They do it in the morning.
Hmm.
So
Well, I think it's the idea that, well, I can't be a morning person. Is some people can force themselves to be morning people. Some
Mhm.
I've known people that can't be morning people even if they tried.
Yeah.
They're just I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's a stubbornness thing or it's like the genetic factor. Like some
Yeah.
people just don't function well in the mornings. And
Mhm.
even if you do, they're just going to be dependent on caffeine and stimulants and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's either like you got to pick your battles.
Right.
And I think it's just learning to just stretch. It's like start off with stretching.
Yeah, do something
Dynamic
gentle
stretching.
is always
Like,
a good start. Most of my clients, I really always advise to walk. I mean,
oh,
like,
walk after dinner. Like,
walk is amazing.
oh, it is.
After dinner is great. If your kids are in activities in the evening, I always walk almost every time before hockey for my
Oh,
kids. Or
really?
like I
Nice.
was just at a tournament in Oshawa. What do? Callie's going to be outside. She's going to be looking for a park. And I still do my park workouts. I was
Yep.
just doing one in Oshawa. There was a great park. If you have some playground equipment, benches, like I said, I was doing, partial pull-ups on this, the ladder, and I had like a little circuit going. I was just making, 2 upper body exercises, 2 lower body, and then I walked. So it's like, I don't know, it took me 40 minutes and then did a little stretching at the end, and then I'm back to the rink and hanging out. Because if you have kids that play hockey, for example, like you have that hour, they have to be there ahead of time, unless you're helping in the dressing room or something like that. Then
Yep.
it's a perfect time. And if your kids are going to practices, or and it's outside soccer, you can always walk around the soccer field, jog around the soccer field. If you want to start running, both Jared and I are run coaches. We can help you get running and figure out how to fit everything in your day, because it's you got 24 hours in a day, and you get to use it however you choose. And I mean, we sit in the car, we sit at work, if we're going to go watch our kids play sports, or take them to a play date, however what age, you're sitting again. So
Yep.
and also a lot inside. So one of my big tips is to get outside every day, and
In some way.
try to maximize as much as you can outside.
Oh, I like 100%. And something as simple as doing maybe a plank for a minute in between commercials or something.
Yeah.
If you at work, if everyone needs standing breaks, I'm not like I have an office job on my regular job, the government. I'm really still. I know for a fact, like let's say I run at the end of the day. I normally don't. But if I do, I notice if I don't take a lot of standing breaks, I'm more rusty when I start to run. Like my body is more achy. And it's because I'm not stretching, I'm not stretching. I'm not extending my body. I'm not moving it in a way that it's natural. Just
Right.
standing up more frequently, if you have
Mhm.
office job, is a game changer. And like,
Yeah.
it doesn't require any mental work at all.
Yeah.
Like I find that excuse, well, oh, my glutes are tight. Well, have you doing standing breaks? Right? It's like and time yourself, put it on your phone. Like 1 hour, every hour, stand up for,
Mhm.
I don't know, 30 seconds, walk around,
Yeah.
lift your thigh up. You know what I mean? Like do little like marching on the spot. There's
Right.
there's little different ways. It doesn't seem much, but it adds up. And
For
something my
sure.
physio taught me is I have bad balance because of my visual impairment. Well, one of the reasons. Um,
Mhm.
and it was so simple. Just stand on one foot for as long
Mhm.
as you can and do that 3 times, like 3 times per side every day, just to maintain
Right.
balance. Because one of the biggest um, problems when we get older is our bones get very fragile if we don't eat properly, right? Or
Right.
exercise enough. And so what I've noticed that every time that someone, in their senior age falls and breaks their hip, they're never the same person ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And their life changes because they can't have the same mobility they used to have, even if they get like hip replacement therapy, surgery.
Mhm.
You don't have the same mobility anymore. And it was
Right.
only because you didn't have good balance or you didn't have really good mobility, all that stuff. But that's another conversation. It was just something I've noticed that if you don't make the time for it, it's going to bite you in the ass down the like
Oh yeah.
retirement age kind of period. If you want to retire at this day and age, people are doubtful that they're ever going to retire.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just what my thoughts on that.
Yeah. No, and recently I was doing a program called Symmetry, which is just it's some exercises. They kind of measure all the planes of motion. So we have frontal plane, sagittal, and transverse. That's our planes
Yeah,
of movement.
that's right.
And it just measures where you're out on all those planes, and then they give you recommended exercises. It's been amazing. So I had some back pain last year, and I just want to maintain and make sure I don't run into that again. So I've been doing the exercises, but yeah, I was reading the book that he wrote, and it was just saying, by sitting, we're mostly working in the sagittal plane, which is forward
Yeah.
and back. So
Oh,
we're
okay.
not really getting the frontal plane going side to side. So I would even recommend, when you get up, kick your leg out to the side, bring your arms out to the side, do things in also the side plane and transverse, where we cross our body, do cross punches, those kinds of things. Because we're getting very weak in those two planes of movement that we do mostly forward and back, and we're missing the side to side and the transverse cross plane. So that was interesting too.
Oh, I love your jargon. I learned a lot right now. I think just having some general warm-up drills
Mm-hmm.
helps a lot, especially I mean, maybe not for a walk. If you're pressed on time, you only have 30 minutes, just go.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the warm-up. But I mean,
Yeah.
if you have more than if you have like about, I don't know, if you have an hour, take
Mm-hmm.
that 5 minutes just to do some side leg swings, just to wake up your butt, just to wake up your glutes a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
little
what I
side
do.
lunges. So you're working the not
That's a frontal plane.
trans. Can you
The
say
frontal plane.
trans?
Transverse is the one where we cross the body.
Transverse, yeah, cross. Like
Yeah, so that would be like where you're doing curtsy lunges or
yeah,
crossing the body, like cross punches, those
yeah,
kinds of things,
yeah.
or you pull from low to high,
No,
or
but
swing
more.
a bat, like
Oh
those.
no, that one. But if you're going external, like translateral,
Okay.
like if you're going away, so any kind of motion where you're doing lateral shoulder raises, or
Yeah.
just if you're working your medialis, so if you're going extending out
Uh-huh.
away from your body, I forget what that technical term is for.
Um,
Like you're working a different plane. You're not going frontal, sagittal.
okay.
Like you're going. It's like there was something about it's a translateral movement.
Okay. I don't know. That term doesn't ring a bell right now, but
Oh no,
anyway.
because you're going away from your body because
Yeah,
that's
the
the area that we're
like
not
medial
working.
plane, and then you got like, I guess, um, I don't know. I have to look it up. I forget what plane of motion that would be in, or
Because
what.
yeah, it's just something like those things. As I used to be a personal trainer like you, but I'm a little rusty on that.
Yeah.
But I know my emotions. It's just because I'm so focused on the biomechanical part of what makes someone running efficient to
Yeah.
save energy. So I'm not always focused on the other exercises, but I do help people with their mobility work. I
Yeah.
give them like a mobility plan if they need it. But it depends on how much they want to invest in themselves, right?
Right.
So I mean, you don't have to do everything all at once. Maybe do strength training when you're not training for a race or you're not overly serious about running. Probably maintain that strength, because for women lose strength much faster if you don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I think physiologically we can maintain it. Women can maintain it just as much.
Mm-hmm.
But if women don't do any strength training, they lose more muscle mass faster because of lack of testosterone. So I think that's why strength training is so important for women, especially.
Oh yeah, it's so key. There's so much more research out now, and just we know that as we age, we have to do load bearing exercises. We have to lift weights. We have to walk, and when we lift, we got to lift heavy. Those kinds of things, and a lot of women, they haven't done that much in their life.
No.
So that's where hiring a trainer is great to help you make sure you're doing it safely. And because if you just go try to lift heavy and you haven't ever done it, then you are definitely going to probably run into injuries. But
but I mean, like you teach their own to the point of, well, they get injured and they're like, well, I don't want that to happen again. And then at that point, they'll probably hire a trainer, because we always make change. Like the pandemic, for example, we only started becoming more hygienic when the pandemic happened. Like we only started making change when something really bad happens. I just noticed a pattern.
Yeah.
School shootings, the Titanic, which I'm obsessed with and I'm a nerd about. We only had all these regulations put in only after a tragedy. So after a tragedy happens, so a tragedy in this situation, a small scale, would be I got injured, so I don't want that to happen again. And if it pushes you over the edge, that's when you're going to invest in change, because you refuse for that to happen again.
Yeah, we're a very reactive society.
Super reactive. That's like not an understatement. It's
reactive just means that we wait till there's pain or the last minute and then we start doing something about it. And Jared and I both know that doesn't really serve you well in the long run. So it's great to get going or something today. So yeah, we can wrap it up pretty soon. I just wanted to share like a few more things that might help some busy moms on here. So one of the best exercises I ever did, and this is from my friend Linda, who's a lot of you guys know Linda. She's with me a lot on many different things. She had me write down everything I do in a week. So even, I just kept this big, massive piece of paper. I wish I could find it. I probably have it somewhere still. But it's, every time you fed the cat, anytime you checked emails, anytime you did laundry, got dinner ready, all of those things, write them down. And actually, I didn't do this at the time, but another person had recommended that you record how much time it takes for all of those things.
Got it.
Because, you might say, oh, when I check emails, it's like 2 minutes. No, probably going to be more time than that, depending. But yeah, so that was a really helpful exercise. And I don't know, I think even since that day that my life runs much smoother after doing that, because I kind of got rid of some things that I was like, okay, this doesn't serve me. Like, you have your values and your goals, and if it doesn't align with it, then why are you doing it? So yeah, just things like, I don't know, might be volunteering for something that, because I get volunteering in a lot of things. So good. I kind of had to cut back on that. And just basics of, organizing your kids' playtime and that kind of thing. That can be a lot of time sucker too. So just finding different ways of getting around that. So, that was a really powerful exercise for me to do. And something that I've been doing recently is having You know, we all have our list. I wasn't always the best at using lists, but so I keep kind of a journal by my bed, and then I also have a digital to-do list. So digital to-do list, it's great. There's an app called it's a to do and then ist, not the list, but ist, to do ist. And it's on my computer. I know to go there now. Okay, when I get to my computer, what am I doing? I'm going to that list, and I'm not going to, you know, go check my email, get lost there for a while. I'm going to go straight to the priority. So that was a big one for me. And yeah, just scheduling yourself, like sign up for something is always helpful, or find a friend to help you be accountable, and whatever you do, you know, my philosophy is to get outside. That's another thing. So if you just get sucked in and you're on, let's say, your computer, or you're scrolling or things, it just eats your time. So I'm just a big proponent of going outside, you know, get your walk in, especially for menopause, it's so good for doing a quick bound of exercise and then letting your heart rate come all the way back. That's going to kick in your parasympathetic nervous system. So if we're in fight or flight, maybe we're working on some emails, or we're dealing with, you know, doctor's appointments or something like that, and it's getting us stressed, then it's really great to go do a bound of exercise that maybe gets your heart rate up and then go right back down. And that really exercises our parasympathetic nervous system and helps us, you know, rid of belly fat, because if we're with high cortisol levels. So that's a very good tip for menopausal women that are struggling with belly fat. Just little bounds of exercise and get yourself back down.
So do you think that we're just too stressed? Do you think that if we were more relaxed society, that weight loss would be easier?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That is for sure my thought. I mean, you meet a lot of people, you know, when we do what we do, and you find that stress can be a killer. It really can. It just eats away, and you're not going to get your results, because sadly, if your cortisol is up here and you're working out hard, you produce some growth hormone, and the cortisol is just going to stop it in its tracks. You are not going to get results. You're not going to get muscle growth, lots of things. So
wow, I didn't think of that.
Yeah. It's like a big puzzle.
It is.
Puzzle piece. And when women are dealing with hormones, I love helping with that, because you can see some major changes once you get yourself more in homeostasis, and your body's happy, and you're in this parasympathetic nervous system a lot. You're going to see some results. So yeah, I think that was, and then the other thing I wanted to talk about is routines. Yeah. Okay. So just, I don't know, I do my grocery shopping similar days of the week. I kind of have my system down now, what I do. So I grocery shop on Wednesday. It's on the way home from where I teach Pilates. So I just kind of try to keep some of those routines that help me throughout the week, you know. So that's always a good thing, is to get those routines dialed in.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And well, it's also some things you have to let go as well, right?
Oh yeah. That's always,
like you have to, there's a little bit of opportunity cost. If you won't. There's a little bit like, okay, well, I think I'm going to volunteer less because this other stuff is more important to me.
Right.
As opposed to like, oh, well, I can't make time for it. Well, you have to let go of something, because, you know, like you said, we all have the same 24 hours.
Yeah, we do. Yes, we do. Well, thanks so much, Jared, for coming on.
My pleasure.
We'll have to do another one with some more interesting topics.
I'm looking forward to it, Kelly.
Yeah, you're great to chat with and share ideas, and you're very inspiring. I love your story. So it's amazing. I always think, wow, like Jared is doing all these amazing running things. He runs marathons, and you're visually impaired, and the rest of us can see, and you know, we're making excuses. So we don't have excuses.
Yeah. So that's kind of where it came from. Like that inspiration to do this.
That's awesome. Okay, well, have a beautiful day. Thank you, everyone that joined us. And if you have any ideas of what next things you want Jared and I to talk about, let us know. I'll see if there's any any questions or anything?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, Aaron. Okay. Okay. Let's see. She says, yes, the mom guilt. Then if I'm not busy with the kids, I feel like I need to clean the house or do chores.
There you
I
go.
need to kick my own butt.
There you go.
You got this, Aaron. Aaron is on my hockey team, so I'm going to be encouraging her to come to the park with me.
Woo!
Okay. Take care, everyone. Have a beautiful Sunday. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.